Hi everybody, my name is Jim with Full Moon Adventure Club, and today we're going to be going over how to winterize your RV. There are a couple of different methods you can go about doing this, one of which is the air compressor method. We're not going to be going over that step by step, but if you are doing that, basically what that entails is using an air compressor to attach to your city water connection, and then using all of that high pressure to blow all the water through the lines until it stops sputtering out of all of your sinks and faucets. Word of caution if you're going with this method. You need to make sure that your air pressure is below the recommended PSI of your plumbing system. So maybe 30 PSI or lower. That's why you have water pressure regulators at the RV park. You don't want to blow your lines out. If you start pumping 100 PSI through them, you're going to blow all your lines. So under 30 PSI or whatever your RV is rated for is what is the maximum air pressure. And you're also going to need an adapter, which is going to go from your air compressor hose to your city water connection. Like this, and I'll try and find one and put it in a link down below. And so that's all we're really going to say about that method. The method we're going to be talking about today is going to be with RV antifreeze. I want to go over a couple of warnings with you before we start this process. Warning number one, you have to use RV antifreeze. It is designed for water systems. You cannot use car antifreeze. It is toxic, poisonous, it'll contaminate your system. You don't want to do that. It has to be RV antifreeze because it's designed for your water system to be non-toxic. So you have to use that. Don't use the car stuff. That's a no-no. Only RV antifreeze. Warning number two, you need to make sure that you go ahead and turn off your electric if you have an electric heating element in your hot water heater, and also your gas. So turn everything off. There are two reasons you do this. Number one is so you don't get scalded when you go to drain your water or your water heater, and then it comes pouring out and burns you, is the main thing, safety first. And then number two is if you have your electric heating element on in your water heater and the water drains, it will fry that electric heating element like that, and then you got to replace it so it causes damage to the system. You always have to have your water heater full when your heating element for electric is turned on. So turn everything off before you begin this entire process and let it cool off so you don't get burnt, okay? So now that we have those safety protocols out of the way, we are going to jump into winterizing your RV. I realize some people have new RVs, so I'm going to jump into that too. When you have a nice big bay and you have all your hot water heater bypasses and all that stuff already there, good for you. It's going to be a lot easier for you. For those of us that have older RVs, I'm going to be showing you how to do that as well in my RV, which is very old. So we're going to do that, and I'll even put up a link that goes to a video if you need to install a hot water heater bypass, which will help you out. I'll get into that in the video. So without further ado, we're going to get right out there and start winterizing our RV right now. All right, in a situation like this where you have an external bay with pretty much all of your docking station equipment located inside of it, before you do the winterizing process, this is really going to help you out. And you have your low point drains down here. You're going to open those to drain the system, of course. And also you're probably going to have one more drain that's going to completely drain your onboard freshwater tank of all the water. Now before you winterize, basically all you're going to do is move this up to winterize. There's an RV function and a winterize function. You're going to move this up to winterize, and what that's going to do is disconnect your water pump from your onboard freshwater tank fill and connect it to this so that you can put your antifreeze. You can put this hose right in the antifreeze, and this is going to basically be what's taking all the antifreeze into your system. So that makes it a lot easier. You don't have to install anything, and that's what this lever is going to do for us. And the hot water heater bypass valve is very important as well, because when you move that to the bypass position where it is now, that's going to cut off your hot water heater so you don't have to fill it up with 6 gallons of antifreeze, which you're then going to have to really flush out really well the next season. So this is going to cut that off. And draining the hot water heater is usually more than enough to keep it from, taking any freeze damage. And so with this in bypass and this in winterize mode, you're pretty much ready to go. You can put your hose in and you're going to fill everything up. We're going to be doing the actual process on a different older unit, but I did want to show you guys this setup so that we're all familiar with how you would do it in this situation. I'd also like to point out that you are going to need to dump all of your gray and black tanks, and if you have an external hot and cold water shower, you're going to need to go ahead and do those as well. And you just want to make sure that you open the cold until you see antifreeze coming out. Close it, do the cold and the hot, and make sure that you see antifreeze coming out of both lines, and that's going to ensure that your external hot and cold water shower is also winterized. Well, first things first, we're going to go ahead and have to drain our fresh water tank because we don't want all that water in there when winter hits. You're also going to want to make sure that you dump both of your holding tanks. Make sure that both of them are completely empty, so we're going to have to do that as well. You're also going to want to make sure that your water pump is turned off. So first things first, you're going to have to locate your hot water heater. This is going to be different in different RVs. For me, this is located underneath the bench seat of the dining room table. A very easy way of figuring out where your hot water heater is just by looking for your access panel on the outside. It's going to look just like that or pretty close to it. And then you can go inside and have a pretty decent idea of where to start looking for your hot water heater if you don't already know where it is. And so we're simply going to open up that and access it. We're going to have our water pump here. We're going to have our hot water heater here. And we're going to have our drain plugs located right down here. And so we're also going to want to pull these up. And this is an older unit, so yours is going to be different. And you're going to have to be able to locate these so you can drain the lines of your RV. Yours may be a valve, but in our case, these are just simple push valves. And the way these work is when they're pushed down, they are closed. And so we're just going to grab these rings and pull them up. And now the internal water lines of the RV are draining. You are also going to have, in addition to your low point drains that are located inside the RV, you're also going to have an external drain valve, probably something like this, and we're going to want to go ahead and open that up as well, and that's going to drain our main water holding tank. And in most cases it does help to go ahead and open up the hot and the cold on one of your sinks, and that's going to allow some airflow to come in and allow most of that water to drain out of your low point drains. Now when it comes to draining your water heater, if you have an anode rod or a drain plug in it, then boom, your job is very simple. You find the appropriate socket or wrench or whatever, and you're going to take that off and let the water pour out. If there's no way to drain your water heater, you're probably going to have to just do that through your low point drains, which will do the job. But you also might want to consider pumping just a little bit of antifreeze into it and then closing off your bypass system just to hedge your bets. Okay. All right, so now that we've drained all of our fresh water and we've emptied our holding tanks here for our black and our gray water, we're going to have our water pump turned off, and now we're going to close up all of the faucets and things and drain plugs and all that good stuff so that we can go ahead and start prepping the system for antifreeze. We're going to start by closing our low point drains. And then we're also going to close our outside drain for our water tank. I'm going to put a link to the top that shows you how to install a hot water heater bypass system if you don't already have one. But most situations you're going to have one. It's going to look like this, and you're going to close the valve going into your cold water on the bottom so that no water goes in there. And then you're going to want to open the middle valve, which is your bypass valve. You're going to open that up so the antifreeze is going to go up. And you're also going to want to close the valve going into the top hot water section of your hot water heater to make sure that no water creeps into there as well. So both of those are closed and your inlet valve is open, and now all the antifreeze is going straight into your hot water system. All right, this is where we're going to be using our winterizing kit right here. I'm going to take off the cap here. You can see this valve right here is going to turn off our inlet from our freshwater tank, and it's going to change it over to our little winterizing hose right here that we're going to place inside the antifreeze so that is what's going into our system. And now we're going to turn on the water pump, making sure that we have some of our faucets open. You just basically want to go around each one of your faucets and make sure that you open them one at a time as your unit's pressurized up. All right, now what you're going to want to do is open up your cold water, and you're going to wait for all the water to evacuate the lines until you see a nice solid pink color from the antifreeze coming out. Give that just a few seconds so you don't have any diluted antifreeze in the line. And that's also going to fill up our little U-shaped drain in the sink as well. Then we're going to switch it over to the hot water side and let all that air get out of the line and wait until we have a nice steady flow of antifreeze on your hot water side as well. We're also going to go into our shower, turn on the cold water there until you have a nice steady stream of antifreeze coming out. This is also going to help protect that kitchen or that shower drain as well. Then we're going to switch it over to the hot water side and again wait until we have a nice steady flow of antifreeze coming out. Don't forget about your external showers. If your RV is equipped with one, you're going to turn on the cold water, wait for the antifreeze, turn on the hot water, and wait for that antifreeze. I'd also like to remind everybody that if you do have a washer-dryer hookup, that you're going to need to winterize that as well. Now, there's a few different ways that you can winterize your washer, and basically that's going to be by leaving it hooked up, turning on the water pump with your antifreeze in the line, and then running your washer on the cold fill cycle until you see antifreeze present, and then running it on the hot water cycle until you see antifreeze present, and that will also winterize your washing machine. If you do not have one in here, you still need to winterize these lines. I'd at least recommend that you do. And you're going to do that by basically opening up the hot water, and you're going to have a little pan or a bucket or whatever to catch some of that water. And you're going to open up the valve until you see pink antifreeze present, and then close that, open up the other side, the cold water, and wait until you see antifreeze present. I'd also like to remind you guys that right here is your drain for your washer, and that has a little P-trap in the bottom, a little elbow that keeps smells at bay. So you're going to want to make sure that you pour some antifreeze down that so that you have antifreeze in that P-trap and that doesn't freeze on you. So I just mentioned washing machine. So if you have a washing machine in there, you know you can run it on the hot and cold cycle, and that'll send the antifreeze into the washing machine and hopefully winterize it. I want you to be really, really careful with this, everybody. I do not want to ruin your washing machine, and I have never done that. Mine doesn't have a washing machine in it. That's the online research that I came across. But check your manual when it comes to winterizing and make your own decisions on your washing machine. I don't want to be responsible for you messing it up by putting antifreeze through it. So just a suggestion, be careful, read your manuals, pretty please. I would also like to remind you that on some units you're going to have an outdoor kitchenette. So absolutely anywhere that you have access to water, we're going to want to take care of by winterizing. And so right here you have your hot and your cold water. And whether or not it doesn't matter if you have a removable sink basin or a sink with a drain, you're going to want to winterize out here, and you're just going to basically do that by connecting your quick connect, turning on the hot water until you see antifreeze coming out, closing that, turning on your cold water until you see antifreeze coming out, close that. And I would also like to remind you that if you do have a sink with a drain, that might also have an elbow that holds water to prevent odor, and so you're going to want to make sure that you pour a little bit of antifreeze straight into the drain, which opening this faucet would do. Once you have a nice stream of solid antifreeze, you can just make sure that you run that for a second down the drain to make sure that you take care of your outdoor sinks as well. So there's one thing that I forgot to show, but I did do, and that's your toilet. Don't forget your toilet in your RV. You need to push that handle, that foot flush down or the side flush, and make sure that you see pink antifreeze running down the bowl, and that will ensure that it's gotten all the way through your toilet and that is safe from freeze damage. And then when you're done, you can even leave a little bit in the bowl on top just to make sure that you got a little bit in there, and that's not going to hurt anything at all. Also, one more thing that it might possibly be a concern is if you have any water filters under the sink of your RV or something like that. If water passes through it, it might have water in it. And so that might be a possible area that you're going to have to determine how to safeguard from freezing. I mean, if you run the antifreeze through it, I would imagine you'd want to replace the filter. And if you're going to remove the filter, you're going to have to, well, make sure the water doesn't come shooting out of there. Maybe do that last, and I don't know. You get a tube made that you can connect it so you can just run it without the filter. Or if you have a little filter bypass, something like that. Just wanted to make sure I covered all of the possible things that might freeze on your RV. The outside sinks and the outside showers and absolutely anything that has water. You want to run that antifreeze through it, and you're going to be totally safe and good to go for the winter. If this video helped you out, please like, share, and subscribe. I will put links down below to antifreeze and any weird little adapters and bypass kits that I can find that'll make things a little bit easier for you. And I will put a link to how to add a water heater bypass at the end of this video, and I'll leave it permanent right there. So if you want to know how to put one of those into an older RV, I will show you how to do that also. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and until the next video, thanks so much for watching, and happy camping.